welcome to another episode of A Lost Cause. I'm Shawna.
And I'm Annie.
Our apologies to our loyal viewers who probably noticed we did not have an episode out last week due to unforeseen circumstances involving us watching too many episodes of Criminal Intent and a Christmas thrift. Okay, so like people who watch the podcast regularly know that Annie and I love a good thrift sale. And we have not been to a thrift since like August. So, there was a Christmas thrift. And so we had to go. And unfortunately, we didn't have time to record our podcast. So our apologies. But we are back.
And better than ever.
And better than ever. And our last episode, we talked about the freighter. But we kind of highlighted that we would be saving Miles for his own episode. And so that's today's episode. We're talking about Miles and Dr. Marvin Candle.
And today is the first day of Christmas break. So it is kind of unfortunate that we didn't save the Desmond and Penny episodes for now because of the constant. But, you know, I will be watching it then.
On Christmas Eve and what?
Yesterday was Ben's birthday.
Oh, no. Like, Annie's had this circled on the calendar for, like, literally all year. And it's been, like, building up to, like, Ben Linus's birthday on December 19th. And we just, like, forgot about it. Well.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday, Ben Linus.
I'm crying.
Wow. Okay.
Well.
So... Yes, today we are talking about Miles. What is Miles's last name on the show?
Straume.
Right.
Miles Straume.
And why? Because it's not, right? Maybe it was his mom's maiden name?
Maybe.
So let's talk a little bit about Miles and kind of just what we know about him early on. Like, what is his backstory and why was he invited to be on the freighter?
So he's a pretty special character because... the more we figure him out, the more we see his backstory, we actually realize that he is one of a couple characters who kind of has supernatural abilities.
Yeah.
And so he can sort of communicate with the dead. And same with Hurley, but it's a different way.
And how is it different?
So when he was a little boy, there was this dead body, and like he could hear what they were thinking before, and he could feel what they were thinking before. So pretty much he knows what they died and how they died and what they were thinking.
I think that's right. And then sometimes we get the sense he can actually ask them questions too.
Yeah.
Because there's that one where he's like actually working as sort of not a Ghostbuster, but like, you know, finding things, communicating with recently.
But I think that was a sham.
But it was, though, like, the ghost told him where he could find something, right?
Right.
So it's not really clear. Like, most of the time it seems like what Annie said, that it's just sort of what they were thinking shortly before they died and how they died. And maybe that's what this person was thinking about. I don't know. But, yeah, on other episodes it seems like he can maybe ask them questions and communicate with them.
Yeah. So it doesn't really give us a clear answer. But
it's kind of cool when him and Hurley are talking about how they sort of have this shared ability, but it's different for Hurley, right?
Because they're kind of like ghosts.
They're just ghosts, yeah. So what do we think of Miles at first? Like
at first, I'm kind of like, what's this guy's deal? Because he really is, and someone even says it. I think Hurley says it. He is pretty much just another Sawyer.
Yeah, he's kind of rude.
Nicknames.
Nicknames.
Rude nicknames, though.
Kind of like a little bit of sexual harassment going on, you know, calling people hot and stuff. And seems like kind of a jerk, to be honest.
Yeah.
But does he grow on you?
Yeah.
Yeah, very much. So let's talk a little bit about, because there's sort of a brief backstory or a flashback for the freighter crew. So you talked about when he was a little boy. But then what else do we learn in that flashback?
That his dad is gone, so it's just his mom.
Yeah.
And
she's dying of cancer, it looks like in the flashback.
Yeah, and he actually got recruited because he can communicate with the dead? Is that what?
I think so, because they want to know how people died,
They
I guess.
No, because of how many people Ben has killed.
Right.
And if he can communicate with the dead, then he could find Ben. So that's what they have, like this sort of audition at this like meat shop, and with Naomi.
Yeah.
And
this is where it really looks like a wig in this scene.
Yeah. You better put in a photo. And then, yeah, there's this body. He immediately like figures out what happened. He can that the person was carrying photos of empty graves, a purchase order for a plane, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
he passes the test or whatever because
and
Naomi's
then gets
convinced.
Recruited for. Well. So he asks. Okay, wait. I'm forgetting how much money they give him. Because I remember that he offers Ben if he gives him, I think 3.2.
Yeah, that's the number I have in my head.
So
yeah.
If it's 3.2, then it must be half of that.
Right.
That they give him. So
They offer him.
I'm off break. No math. So you're not get your own calculators.
But at the same time, these people in a van, we don't know who they are at the time, but we later find out they're like Jacob followers.
Yeah, and isn't the one guy something?
He's from the guy from The Office.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that drew the butts on Pam's mural. That's the one crossover between Lost and The Office. But anyway, they are trying to convince him that it's a bad mission and that he shouldn't go. But at that time, Miles just seems completely motivated by money, right? Because they're offering him so much money to go, it's just sort of, he just goes to the highest bidder. And he doesn't really seem to have much of a moral compass.
That's very true. And, that's something that they actually just keep going with. Because lots of the characters, once they get to the island, like Shannon, for example, they don't care about money. It doesn't have any meaning there. But Miles always cares about money. Because
even, they're supposed to capture Ben Linus and he makes Ben an offer that if, he pays him the $3.2 million, what is it? He'll just tell them he's already dead or so that's why at the beginning we don't really have a great opinion of Miles. Seems like a bit of a mercenary. But then I think things start to change. So this is where we start having the time jumps, and Miles is with the group, Sawyer, Juliet,
the group,
Charlotte, Daniel. And it's a good foreshadow because remember, Charlotte is the first one that starts having the symptoms, right? Because
yeah, but there's something else that I figured out before that. Because there's, I think, no, I don't know why they have because it's in the episode Because You Left. At the start, Dr. Marvin Candle wakes up, he has to put the baby to bed or something like that. And then the baby, I was like, that's Miles. That's gotta be Miles.
I couldn't believe it.
And then, I could tell because of the face Shawna was making.
I was waiting and waiting for this reveal, for Annie to find out that this little baby is Miles, and that Miles is the son of Dr. Marvin Candle.
But I figured it out.
But she figured it out just as soon as possible. And it's a really good episode of because often on Lost you have somebody either putting a CD in, or usually a record player, right? And so someone's playing a record, and it's a country record.
Yeah, I think it was... Miles Davis.
No, that's not country. That's
no, that's jazz.
Yeah. We'll fact check this
later. Who is
later.
it? I remember that it was. No, they weren't talking about it in the van. I thought for a second that they did talk about it in the van.
Well, I didn't peg Dr. Marvin Candle as a country fan, but he is. And then we see he's got this just adorable little baby son, and Annie just right away is like, "That's Miles," and I was just like. Oh. I mean, and I was a little bit frustrated, but also just so impressed that she figured it out. I really just had to like give it up. Because,
and that's happened a couple times.
Yeah. But that was a very prominent one. So that's why, kind of leading into what I was saying, like Charlotte, you know, is having all of these symptoms because she grew up on the island. She spent her first 5 years there. But then Miles is like one of the next ones. Mm-hmm. And then Juliet too, right? Because she's been there for like whatever it is, 3 years. But why? Yeah, that's why Miles is having the symptoms.
And so, yeah, when that happened, I was like, oh, it is. It's gotta be him.
But Miles doesn't know that, right? Like,
yeah.
But then how does Miles find out the truth?
So he actually says it, that he was in line for the cafeteria and his mom got in line behind him.
But I think we skipped over, like, they go to Tarma times. Yeah, they go to
Tarma
times. Boy, that 1 week off has really kind of rattled us a little bit.
Yeah, they go back into the 70s, and they, I guess that's how he finds out.
Yeah, he tells Hurley that later, that he's like standing in line at the cafeteria and his mom is in line. So, I mean, imagine. Crazy. Mm-hmm. And then he would realize...
And I think his mom was already dead at the time.
Yeah.
Or is she just really sick?
I guess we don't really know, but I mean, I think we're led to believe those were her sort of last days, and that was, you know, before he went on the freighter, so, yeah, she probably has passed away. But then, by the time, like, Hurley is, you know, gets there, they've already been there for the 3 years, right? So Miles would have seen his mom go through, like, the whole pregnancy of himself.
That's true.
And would have, like, seen himself as, like, oh, there I am. There's me.
Which is kind of interesting to me that they did break that rule.
Yes.
Because it seemed like they weren't going to do that with... Because, you know, Charlotte doesn't come back to see her younger self. Daniel does. Ben doesn't come back to see his younger self. But, you know... But they do that with Miles.
Yeah.
Which raises question.
It does, because we'd sort of theorized, like, maybe that's why Ben doesn't, like, travel with them back in time, is they don't want that sort of, you know, time-space continuum thing in the Back to the Future of, like, oh, whatever you do, like, don't run into yourself. But, yeah, Miles definitely is, like, living alongside himself as a baby, so...
Sorry, I just found another connection that we're going to have to add because of the Back to the Future and Frodo's in it. But anyways, it is.
So we talked about Miles and, you know, seeing his mom in line, but you mentioned Miles has grown up believing that his dad left them, didn't care about them, and now he's actually... you know, in the same place as his dad, who isn't really called Marvin Candle. What is his actual name?
Pierre Chang. Yeah. Pierre. Well, that's what they say. But he's gone by many, many names. Mm-hmm. So.
But I think that is his name, though. Like
probably.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what does he think of his dad?
I don't think I mean, what his mom told him is that his dad ran away when he was a baby and just left Miles with his mom.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we do find out that that's not the truth, but because that's what Miles grew up believing, that's what he believes in. Like, he just does not want to talk to his dad. He doesn't want to be associated with his dad. He doesn't want to give his dad a second chance because he thinks that his dad really hurt his mom and really, like, was too cowardly to raise him properly, but we do find out that that's not the truth. But I do think that Miles wasn't a fan of his dad. Yeah,
and so for like the first 3 years, his dad has no idea. Like, he knows this guy and he knows his name is Miles, but like it never occurs to him that this is his adult son. And then, you know, Hurley comes along and it's kind of an interesting dynamic. Like, I like the friendship between Miles and Hurley, but I wish Miles was a little nicer to Hurley. Like, I really don't like it when he calls him an idiot and like, puts him down and insults him. Because Hurley is just, like continually
pretty much the best.
Nice, and he's actually just trying to help Miles, sort of through his own experience, right?
Because Hurley's dad, I mean, if you're not aware of this, I'm gonna hold your hand while I say this. If you watch Lost, there are daddy issues galore.
Yeah.
And so Hurley actually experienced some of his own, but his dad ran away when he was 10, but he did eventually reconcile with his dad because he came back because of him winning the lottery. But still, it's the thought that counts. So.
And from Hurley's perspective, you know, he was the same way. He didn't want to give his dad a chance, but he softened, as you know you would expect from Hurley, and he's glad that he fixed the relationship.
And now they're like best buds, right?
Yeah. So that's the episode. Some Like It Hoff, and he's kind of trying to convince Miles to sort of give his dad a chance.
Another thing to mention is that Miles is in the circle of trust.
Yes. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that, like Miles'
the circle
role
of trust
in Dharma. So another great thing I like about Miles' character is he becomes a really important friend to Sawyer, and I really like the relationship that they have.
They're a pretty good duo.
Yeah, they're a really good duo. They trust each other. They've got each other's backs, and so they kind of work, you know, side by side, doing security and whatnot for Dharma. The Dharma Initiative. Everything's going great until it all goes wrong.
Because of the stupid time travelers. Yeah. And, I mean, I guess it all goes haywire when Saeed is found. But, like, maybe it all goes haywire when Jin runs off to go to the flame. Because if Jin wasn't trying to stop Radzinski from killing Saeed, then really nothing would have happened except Saeed would have died. And that's,
Yeah. So eventually, though, Dr. Marvin Kendall does find out that Miles is his son.
Yes, through who? Not Hurley.
It's when Daniel Faraday is trying to, like, convince him that he's got to evacuate the island. That, you know, that there's this impending incident, and I guess he's trying to sort of prove to him that he's from the future, right? And so he uses Miles as like
because he asks, well, who's the president of the United States? And Hurley, that's the exact question. What if they ask who the president is?
That's right.
And he wouldn't know, but like...
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
It is good. It's good that they did that.
So then, like, he's convinced, Dr. Marvin Kendall, okay, you know, maybe there's some merit to this and we don't want to take any chances. And so that's why he orders the evacuation, and that's why he orders his wife and Miles off the island. And I guess, like, a real problem I have is I don't know why Miles's mom, I don't know if we know her name, I don't know why she doesn't see that that's clearly what's going on. Like they're being evacuated along with, you know, Charlotte and, like, lots of other kids. So why does she really think that he's just trying to get rid of her? Because eventually he says to her, like, I don't want you here anymore, just as a way to kind of make her go. But it's so obvious that he's doing it for their protection, not because he doesn't love them.
Yeah.
So, like, for her to just completely fail to see that, and then to tell Miles his whole life, like, your dad didn't care about us, your dad didn't want anything to do with us.
Maybe it was just to get Miles to move on.
Yeah, but I just don't think it was fair, because, I mean, that was a very bad wound for Miles, and maybe why he seems kind of hard-hearted, right? Like, so, yeah, interesting. But then finally, Miles realizes, like, wow, like, my dad actually did love me and sent us away to protect us.
Yes. And Miles is, I mean, he definitely takes more of a back seat in the plot. Mm-hmm. He is kind of just a side character, despite having only one centric episode, but he does actually stay to the until the end, which is...
So he's another one that I think really sort of earned a bigger kind of role for himself, like based on, I think he was just a useful character to have. He's interesting. It's a good performance, and so they kind of stuck with him, you know, in the same way like we see that with Juliet or Ben or other characters that were kind of brought into the story a little bit later. And we also see Miles in the Sideways. So
Oh, yeah.
what's going on for Miles in the Sideways?
Shawna, you know I'm not the Sideways person. I don't know.
Really, you just have no clue at all?
No clue. I know he has something to do with the benefit. No, he's a cop. He's a cop.
Yeah, there we
He's
go.
a cop. Right.
Sawyer is...
Right.
What is
His
he?
partner.
A detective or just a police
Just
officer?
a police officer.
Yeah, but they're partners, which is great, right? Because they were kind of partners in the Dharma Initiative, like in the security, and now they're... And that's like the ultimate, like, you know, friendship, like, is two cops that are partners, right? So it's really good.
Yeah.
And Miles is part of, like, a very small circle of trust with Sawyer because Miles knows about Sawyer's parents. He knows that he's searching for, you know, the man responsible. So in the Sideways, Miles does have a good relationship with his dad. It's kind of a weird fit for his dad in the Sideways. He's just like runs the museum. Like, I don't know why, but and Charlotte works at the museum, and so Miles is friends with her and sets him up.
Why would he still be alive?
Well, we talked about this before.
He would be so old.
Huh. Well, he'd be like, whatever, 20 years older than Miles. Like, but I know what you mean.
No, because in the 70s, he was that age.
Yeah, but in the 70s, he like just had a kid. Like,
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
I thought you were going to say like, because a lot of people wonder if Dr. Marvin Candle survived the incident. Well, he did, obviously, because he makes those orientation videos. But, you know, we see him in the Sideways. Because sometimes we wonder, well, are there some characters we don't see in the Sideways because, like, the island is now at the bottom of the ocean, right?
He must have gotten off with them.
So, yeah, we sort of think that anyone we see in the Sideways would have had to get off the island at some point. And maybe he did. Maybe he came back to look for them, you know.
Sorry. Miles is also in Person of Interest.
Oh.
Yeah. He's like a pretty main character, I think. I don't know. This is me watching Person of Interest.
Well, anyway. Doesn't really hold your interest, hey?
But only Law and Order Person of Interest.
But yeah, Miles, I think, is a good example of a character that we're not really sure about at first. Like, who is this guy?
It's true, and but you do warm up to him. I think everybody does. I don't know if anybody hates Miles.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like the people that get off the island, you know, in that little plane, it's almost like they're sort of chosen to like, yeah, we want these people to live. And we want to see more of them. And
it's kind of like getting an award.
Yeah.
Of like, yep, you get to stay.
You get to stay, yeah. And so Miles makes it to the very end and eventually leaves the island with, you know, Sawyer and Claire, Kate, Lapidus, and Richard, right? Yeah. And Miles is the one that sort of announces to Richard Alpert that he's got gray hair.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because that's another interesting thing about Miles. Like, just the actor, I guess, has sort of gray streaks in his hair. Yeah. And then like, wow, like Richard Alpert starts to age. So
yes,
crazy.
Which is, I like to think it all just happens right.
I don't know why, but
I think it would be so funny. Just like, what is happening? And he gets all wrinkly.
No, I want like Richard Alpert to like go to the mainland and just, you know, be really successful and
your stupid Nestor Carbonell.
Yeah,
theory.
and like take the stage name of Nestor Carbonell and be in Batman movies, but that's just me. So let's move on now to the second character we're talking about. We've already talked about him a lot, Dr. Marvin Candle.
But it's interesting because we actually know him. Well, we don't really know him.
Well, I don't, but Annie does.
No, I mean, we, as the audience, know him because he was in season 1.
Yes, okay.
Hello?
So
season 2, fine. But
yeah, this is what is so brilliant about them going back to the Dharma times, is because as soon as we see that orientation video, and like we see this guy and he's like namaste, and he's talking about the incident, and like the tape is all, you know, weird. There's just something so like interesting about it that it piques your curiosity, and like there's all this mystery surrounding who is this guy.
And another thing is that they strategically didn't put his name in the credits.
Right.
He wasn't credited any time that he was, I think maybe in season 5.
I think, yeah, by the time they go to Dharmaville, he was, but it's true. They wanted there to be a lot of mystery surrounding him. So I love how we just get a little bit more, you know, and really all we see and all we know him from are these orientation videos. So then when we see him like in a house with like a wife and baby, it's really like, oh, it's him. And then for him to be Miles's dad is brilliant.
Once again, good on me.
It's a really good plot twist. I mean, it should have been a plot twist, but apparently Annie saw it coming. So I don't know, but yeah. So what do we like learn about him? Because, you know, he is this mysterious figure, but what do we learn about him once we finally get into season 5?
That he is kind of, well, I still don't really get what they do in the
Yeah.
Dharma Initiative. Like,
He is a scientist.
he's some sort of scientist. I think he kind of orchestrates the mining. I mean,
Yeah, he's in charge of the project of
the
like
swan.
the swan and like the electromagnetic energy, I think, is sort of his specialty.
But Rudzinski really takes that over too. So
Yeah. It's interesting though how like he is kind of a jerk to Hurley and Miles, but he's pretty nice to Jack when he like, because he's the one that does Jack's orientation and tells him that he's a workman.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And he seems pretty friendly, and he says good things about Sawyer, right?
Mhm.
Or LaFleur.
That's such a good scene.
Yeah. So we still don't know a ton about him.
But I knew that he was going to be a workman because the like promo picture for Disney Plus is Kate and Jack in his workman jumpsuit.
In this bloodstained
And like we were in about season 4 and I was like, Shawna, he's wearing a jumpsuit.
Yeah, like Disney Plus shouldn't really do that, hey? Like have pictures from like way later. It's the same as in Felicity, like the picture is of her in season 4 with straight hair, and it's kind of like, whoa, that's the biggest plot twist of all, is that she straightens her hair.
I've never watched Felicity. Obviously she has.
Well, I'm just saying, and I like to talk about Felicity and Alias because they are J.J. Abrams shows, so.
Yeah, good job, JJ. He is I think he's just a very talented worker. And he gets so many, like, famous people, and he reuses them. Like, just, you know, I will never miss an opportunity to praise J.J. Abrams for his wonderful work. So.
Absolutely, just an excellent storyteller. And so, we still don't really know a lot about Dr. Marvin Candle, though. Like, we don't know why all these aliases, because doesn't he use another name in one of the videos?
Yes, so it's Edgar Halowax, it's Dr. Marvin Candle, and it's... I don't remember the other one.
But like, at the time, it just adds to the mystery of, like, what is going on here. And then there was some speculation in one of the videos he appeared to be missing an arm or had an artificial arm.
It just like wasn't moving.
Yeah.
And so everybody thought that something was wrong with his arm.
And maybe it happened during the incident.
Yes, because there is something that happens to his hand during the incident.
Okay.
Like his hand gets crushed in that thing and then Miles has to like help him out. So maybe that is part of it. Maybe
probably.
his arm like did need to get amputated eventually, but so yeah.
And as we draw like near to the end of 2025, why don't you talk about one of your highlights of the year, getting to meet?
I don't know if I've talked about this part as much. I know I've talked about meeting Roger, but I did indeed meet Dr. Marvin Candle himself, and it was amazing. It was, well, okay. I have no experience with meeting celebrities. I remember one time I met Brandon Routh, but he was just another guy to me. I think, like, I said, "Oh, hey, that guy's famous," and he was like, "Hey," walking by me. But
and then one time when
he is super down to earth. But
when you were really little, we like went to this. We have this old hotel where we live called the Besborough Hotel, and
it's haunted.
This, like, old-fashioned telephone booth. And so, like, when Annie was little, she used to, like, just go play in this thing. And so we'd just go to the hotel just so she could, like, kind of play in it. And then Sarah McLachlan was having a concert there, like, in the back. And so we go up, and then there's, like, all this security, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing? What do you want?" And I was like, "Oh, I was just going to take her over there." And they're like, "Oh, sorry." And then I look, and it's just, like, Sarah McLachlan is just standing right there. But Annie didn't care about that. She only wanted to use the phone booth. So yeah, she wasn't, the point is, not really starstruck, right?
But I was when it was Dr. Marvin Candle, because he's like, that's the guy from my favorite show. And we're planning on meeting Dominic, one of them, one of the hobbits from whoever we can get for this year's Comic-Con. And so I'm just really gonna try to be, normal. But it was definitely like sort of almost humbled me when I was with just such a big person, for like a Dharma person, which is my favorite.
And the actor's name is
Francois Chow.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it was really nice to meet him. I didn't really talk, which I regret. I should have said something, but I was definitely like, and I was in my Dharma jumpsuit.
Well, and it took us a while to sort of, like, connect the dots, because we were primarily going, like, for other actors, like they were having a Buffy reunion, but then your dad kind of figured out, like, hey, because there was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reunion, and he's the voice of Shredder, and so that's why he was there. But then your dad was like, wait a minute.
Oh, yes, and
like,
that also makes for... Sorry, continue.
And then your dad was like, wait a minute, like, he's going to be there. There's someone from Lost there, which, and not just anybody, right?
A Dharma person, which is my favorite. And then I was actually just talking to one of my friends from my old school, and I was like, so what are you being for Halloween? And she's like, oh, you probably don't know it, but I'm being Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I was like, I met him. And she was like, no way. Obviously, I sent her the photo. It doesn't look anything like Shredder because he doesn't have this stuff going on, but it was a cool interaction, and it is one of my biggest flexes, for sure.
Yes. And it was great that even though he was there, like, as part of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they still had Lost stuff on his table, right? Like, you could still get an autograph photo of, like, him in the Swan.
So I did get that one. Dad, if you're watching, give me it. Where is it? Okay. I just know it's in his stupid bag where he keeps everything in the world.
Well, yeah, because the day we were there, we had all these autograph photos. Like, I had mine with, like, David Boreanaz, and then I think Dono got to meet somebody too. So it's a lot to sort of carry around. But,
wow, give it to me.
But yeah, we had a great time at the Calgary Entertainment Expo, I guess is what it's called. So still getting back to our Dr. Pierre Chang, like we kind of mentioned, he's also in the Sideways. And we do not only hear about him, but we see him very briefly. I think it's at a benefit honoring Hugo Hurley. And so that's great, you know, that we see him in the Sideways too.
I mean, I think he was just too iconic to leave out, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like that whole thing, like the orientation videos and his performance in them, really added something very special to the show. Yeah. And also, like, I really appreciated him doing kind of the trailer for the Getting Lost.
Yes, he was great in the Lost, and that's what he that's what he looked like when I met him. Except he had, like, this penguin, like the penguin sweater on, which was cool because Dono, my brother, is a big DC fan.
Is he in it?
I think he is. Okay. Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah, so another thing we really appreciate about J.J. Abrams is he just always finds the right person for the part. And like you said, he kind of comes back to actors that he's worked with in the past. But yeah, like a lot of those great character actors that maybe you don't know their name, but you know, you remember them from, like Roger's another good example, that you've seen him in other things and they always do good work. Great kind of, and then how they come together as father and son is just really a great storytelling moment. So now I think it's time for our shout out. And so this week, we'd like to talk about Taylor Swift, even though she has nothing to do with Lost, but just in terms of what's going on in the world and what we're enjoying these days. So why don't you talk about that?
No, you can talk about it.
So yeah, like on Disney Plus, there's a docu-series, I guess. And so 6 episodes of those. The first 2 episodes came out last Friday, and then the next 2 this week. And it's been really interesting so far. Yeah. And we're still looking forward to the day that Taylor Swift gets hooked to Lost. And then we get, like, who knows what's going to come out of it.
Taylor, we know you're watching, okay? I'm promising you, Lost is going to change your entire songwriting career.
Or like Gracie
so
Abrams,
much to write about.
Like, be a good friend to Taylor Swift. Tell her about your dad's show, Lost, and that she should watch it. Yeah, because we're kind of getting impatient, actually.
Yeah, like...
And now it's time for everybody's favorite segment, What's Up With That?
It's like, what's up with that?
And so this week, well, actually...
Okay, this week is an irritating one.
I think it was actually maybe last week the Golden Globe nominations came out. And for the first time, they now have a category for Best Podcast.
And we are not in it.
We didn't get nominated.
What's up with that?
Like, come on, what is up with that? You know,
like all this work for nothing. We have the most views of any podcast. Like, okay, maybe New Heights is a little bit higher, maybe because of like when Taylor Swift went on it. But you're joking, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so, but we'll try it for next year, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Although we should give a little heads up. We are running out of characters, as you may have noticed. So thinking ahead, like, you know, we still have a few more episodes to go, but probably as 2025 winds down, so will our podcast. We might take a little break for Christmas as well, but probably only a handful of episodes left.
But we are proud to announce that we are going to release, we don't know when it's going to happen, but we are going to release a new podcast about Law and Order Criminal Intent. So you guys, we're giving you lots of time to just go watch it, go like get into the characters, get into like what it's about, so that you can hear us talk about it for hours on end. Okay?
Yeah.
That's our announcement.
Yeah, and it's like, we'll always love Lost, but, you know, that was kind of our idea from the beginning, is just every episode is a different character, and, you know, we've done, this is our
so much,
31st
so many
episode, and sadly, we're kind of running out of characters, and maybe not in the best strategy. We, like, started with all the popular characters first, because we decided to go chronologically, but... You know, it's kind of like we've been covering the minor characters now for several months. So thank you for hanging in with us. You have to be a true Lost fan to watch a podcast about Horace, like just about Horace. So
well, I have a lot to say about him.
Yeah, I know. I think we went well over the 42 minutes. Speaking of which, we are approaching that mark right now. So I think we're going to move into our final segment of the show, which is Annie's Hot Take.
So I'm improvising right now because I have not thought about it.
Did you like call an audible and you're going to just change your hot take, or?
No, I don't. So I think my hot take is going to be that
Do you need a little
that
help?
no, that I just don't like that lots of people I think were negative towards
Yeah.
Pierre Chang. Like, I think a lot of the fandom is like, kind of like, well, what's his deal? And like, yeah, whatever. But he was such a good character. And like, towards the end the end of season 5, where he's like trying to get them to stop working on the swan, like, that's just such a good moment for him. Mm-hmm. And I think he's a great character, and he's so complex, and like, you can't not love him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like I said, there are those scenes with Hurley and Miles where, he's kind of ordering Miles around, although Hurley is being pretty annoying, like, in that scene.
His stupid, like, Star Wars.
But even Hurley is, I think, starting to win over Pierre Chang when they're, like, in the Dharma van, and he's, like, asking him questions about himself and, like, saying, oh, we should, like, go for a drink, and then he's asking, like, oh, so, like, you've been on this island with Miles for 3 years, and then there's this weird comment about, like, we're not really in the same circles or whatever,
Yeah.
but yeah, he starts to come around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just he's got a lot on his mind. Rosinski, is just, like, pushing the swan forward, will not, like, be patient, will not kind of stop and listen, and so there's a lot on Pierre Chang's shoulders, like, realizing, I mean, they've had people dying at the orchid site. What is going on with this magnetism? So I think he's just preoccupied a lot of the time.
So, justice for Pierre Chang.
So that's basically your hot take.
That's my hot take. It's, yeah.
All right.
Also, Taylor Swift, you're wrong. Not every hot take is cold as ice. My hot takes are really hot. Like, do you remember my Kate hot take? Yeah.
Yeah. But
people still talk about that.
Well,
so.
what is she? Well, no, because, like, that episode is not available.
Oh.
So no one remembers it. It's never been released to the public.
Right. So
Not
I
yet.
guess I'm
Wait
leaving
until
you guys.
you hear it, though.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of Annie's best hot takes ever. But.
Okay. We've hit the mark.
We've hit the mark. So from us here at Lost Cause, we wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Yes. Happy constant. I love you, Penny.
Hopefully we'll have, like, one more episode before the new year. But if not, Happy New Year.
Mm-hmm.
And namaste.
And see you in another life.